Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the TimePro Sprint Review and Retro for Sprint 295. Today we've got majority of the team, except for Chris Clement. We've got our product owner, Yuli, and stakeholder, Adam. Perfect. Yeah, let's jump into it. Okay, so first off, this was a 10-day sprint. This was extended just because of dev availability. There wasn't really a whole lot of progress at the end of last week, due to dev availability. So it was best to extend it over. As a result, we've been able to get half of our sprint goals complete. Unfortunately, we weren't able to finish the recurring invoices feature. It ended up, this is a lot bigger piece of work than we originally thought. So as we have discussed, and we've been able to make a start on that since we have the done video prepared and a sort of clear vision for what we're looking for. The other sprint goal there was to be able to navigate back to a employee that was selected once you add a timesheet. So this is mainly one for Yuli. So say if he goes in to edit my timesheet and he goes to switch another day, it's not going to keep jumping back to his profile. It's going to continue to stay on one. No dramas. How are we feeling about that so far? Is there any questions?
It's good. Oh, good.
It's good.
You got a double colon after attendees to set up.
Good catch. Okay, cool. Moving on. So this is who's worked on the sprint. As you can see, none of us are hitting that 80-hour benchmark just because we've been on client work or divided between other internal projects. So keeping that in mind, this is the sprint backlog here. We've been able to get a fair few done's complete. We've still got a couple of bigger ticket items which are in the works, and they've been dragged over into the next sprint. Couple of them to call out here, I suppose, would be so this one here. JK, would you like to even talk about that a little bit? The refactor and testing timesheets.
Yeah, so just a little history. We needed to make some changes to saving timesheets because they were very slow when they were associated with an invoice that has integration with Xero. And I tried to fix that issue. And I needed to figure out, when does timesheet not change too much? What happened is that the logic was too complicated for me to understand that. And I noticed also that we had hidden bugs and things like that. So I made a bit of refactor so that now that people look at it, I had Toby and a few people review it. They told me, yes, I now understand what's happening when we're saving the timesheet. What are the kind of validation? We have like 23 validation error messages alone.
No trash timesheets here.
Yes. And I managed to identify over 40 different scenarios that could happen, and that's not full coverage. So yeah, it's a very complicated process, and now it's been simplified, and we have also 52 integration tests for it, plus 10 unit tests to really test out a lot of scenarios that we had previously bugs for as well. So it might even be now more bug-free.
Awesome, that's excellent.
Yeah, just on top of that, like this really has been a great piece of work JK has done. Like all of the commenting now, it clearly explains all of the logic associated with it. So from a dev perspective, it's going to be so much easier to work on that part of the application.
Right, okay.
Cool. Look, is there any PPIs that you'd specifically like me to dive into there, or are you happy with just that sort of?
I think the main call outs is that a few little bugs have been fixed up, which have or little features have been added to make fiddling with timesheets easier. So that bolded one at the top is one. The adding $0 timesheet to a full prepaid invoice was another one. And the compare and move ex-employee toggle. Remember, we were making big changes to all the projects. and I was trying to clean up the data and move
Oh, yes.
move them from the wrong, and I found out that I can't move people who don't work here anymore.
Oh,
So I got blocked. So they fixed that. They fixed that for me. So now we can. It's a
Oh.
toggle.
what's the reason that we couldn't do that?
It was hiding ex-employees.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So now there's a toggle.
That was the only reason. I was trying to think what could be the
Yeah.
actual.
So that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and Toby, if you like to share the image that I shared with the chat, we have an image from Application Insights that shows that the worst case scenario for timesheets have now drastically improved because we're no longer synchronizing when we recognize that it's no longer needed to be synchronized with zero.
Yeah, great. So that's going to speed up our saves, right?
Significantly.
Yeah, that's
There's still
awesome.
going to be occasional synchronization to zero, which will slow down, but it's not going to be, majority of timesheets will no longer need that.
Yeah, got it.
Cool. Alrighty, we happy to move on from that?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, sprint burn down. Unfortunately, it's not a great looking trend there. We ended up with a little bit of a dip, which is, I guess, what we're wanting, but it's sort of plateaued for majority of the sprint. So yeah, not the best one we've seen. Okay, skipping down, as we mentioned, as JK mentioned, we've got 10 more unit tests added here to this metric. In actual fact, there is a whole lot more. There's a lot of integration tests which is added, which aren't incorporated in this this figure here. That's just because it's not part of the pipeline at the moment. They are integration testing, and there is a PBI in the works that we can add that in.
Yeah, I can share a few numbers. We have currently 611 tests altogether with integration tests.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so code coverage, we did see a bit of an increase. Oh, well, not so much line coverage, but
do me a favor on the commas on the 1,000 stand there. Can you add commas in the figure? So 29, 815, blah blah blah. Just makes it a bit more readable. Thank you.
Yeah, no dramas. Yeah, so there, I guess coverage percentage has stayed the same, but we have managed to cover a bit more with these tests. Moving down to front end code coverage, this is all the same as last week. We haven't added any more to the front end. Pipeline health, nothing really to call out here. Much the same as other weeks. We managed to get 2 deployments in each Wednesday for the last 2-week sprint. Application health, shrink this down a little bit. So you can see there is a few spikes on the failed requests. And over the last 2 weeks, it has been 7.8 thousand failed requests. These are not too severe. It's, again, the known bot that's been probing TimePro. It's just mainly hitting, you know, a list of random endpoints or hitting that just slash. Cool. Are we happy to move on?
Yep.
Cool. Product roadmap. This is looking the same as last week. Only call out here is that the sum of effort has increased for the reoccurring invoice and the whole Ingram micro integration, just because we're finding out that some of the PBIs are bigger than we sort of originally expected.
Should we mark that top epic as done now?
You're right, we should, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Could someone jot down a note for me and I'll come back to that afterwards?
Thanks, Gary.
He wants to do it.
Okay, R&D security. JK's been looking into Key Vault and our security side of things for secret management. Another one has been the recurring invoices and how we want to implement these sort of solutions. Also spent a little bit of time examining other products or product, Xero specifically. Happy with that so far? Any questions?
I think we need another epic, and that would be the sales features, the selling of TimePro.
Okay, is that something that should belong in a dev backlog?
Yeah. Well, So, for example, I'll ask you. I would like you to add, if you look at the TimePro features on the TimePro website versus the Tina features, it's a lot clearer on Tina, and it has a link to each piece of documentation. If you have a look at the homepage of Tina, it says talk to an expert. The TimePro one doesn't have that. If you look at the pricing of Tina, it's better than TimePro's one, which doesn't really have an enterprise. Do you want the team to do this?
I think at the moment there's only going to be, oh well, there's 4 of us at the moment, but it's soon to be 3. I think our resources are a little bit low. Also, that is managed at the moment by Tiago, I believe, and it's a WordPress
You can
website.
get Tiago to make the changes on WordPress, but he needs to be given the content.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this could be something that's maybe reviewed by marketing team. Maybe Seth could have a little bit more influence in this sort of work. If we're trying to pitch it in a way, I just feel like that there's more appropriate people that could handle this sort of stuff.
There might be, but it's going to need somebody with TimePro knowledge. So you get Seth to make the social media ads. You don't get him to explain the features of TimePro. I don't think he doesn't even enter timesheets as far as I know, right?
No. Wouldn't the first step be to do a mock-up anyway?
All
these different
features? I think that it's as simple. Like I think I could do it, or you could do it. You could do it. You draft it out. You get another team member to check it, and then you send the email off to Tiago, and you say, "We got that done. We're happy with it."
Okay, so we're not so much thinking about how the website is structured so much as the content that's actually on it.
Yeah,
is that
the way that it explains different things, the features. So, for example, if you go down there and you have a look at those 6 things, you compare those against the Tina, which has 8 things, and then they link off to the actual feature, which means that you have documentation as well. So it's missing in the documentation.
Okay, sure. Where does this fit in terms of priority? Is this something that's coming before IG, or is it going to come before the Angular upgrade? Where would you like it to sit?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I would say it. I think the Ingram micro stuff is high priority, but this would be before the Angular upgrade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Okay.
if I may do a suggestion, I believe if you want to sell TimePro to people, managers and accountants would be the people to target. So our own accountants and managers would be the best advocates for that. Like, what is the coolest thing in TimePro that you use, and basically focus a bit explaining on that, because that would be the selling point. These are the people that you would generally sell to, or at least people that are right above them.
So the way I'm seeing this could be a better piece of work if it's done by a mixture of, say, a dev and Seth, or accountant and Seth, just to be able to, we could collate all of the key features and the things that we really want to push for it. And then someone else with a bit more marketing expertise would be able to pitch it in a way that's targeting the audience, I suppose.
Yeah, makes sense.
Happy with that? Okay, cool.
Yep. All right, let's move on.
I'll add something into that.
Yes, but there's 5 things that I want you to do on the website, so I can tell you what they are when you get to that.
Okay. After the recording, maybe we can quickly revisit that. Cool. Alrighty, moving down into the sprint retro. We got another dev. Amazing stuff. Thank you. We, on average, timesheet saving is a whole lot faster, and everyone can now actually understand the logic. That's a more dev-specific one. What didn't go so well?
One other great thing, I thought your explanation to me about the recurring invoices was excellent. I really, it wasn't easy, but it was great.
Thanks, Adam. Okay, perfect. What didn't go so well? The PBI effort was underestimated for a couple of them, more notably the reoccurring invoice. Not a great looking burn down, and also miscalculated dev availability. What improvements to be made for next sprint? So I think before we go into the Ingram micro stuff, I'd like to look more into the PBIs that are associated with it, break down the steps and actually verify that the assigned effort is going to be closer to what we're expecting, just so we don't get any repeats of what happened this sprint. Does anyone else have any points I'd like to add?
Just a sprint capital S, the very last word, and that's it.
Capital S?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
Yeah, we're good.
Alrighty. Well, that is the review. Let's quickly jump over to the planning. So this will be a 5-day sprint, and
Do you
the
put
sprint
that
goal.
recording in both emails? Do you?
I do.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that part of the standard?
I couldn't tell you, but I think it makes sense that this
Yeah,
video
might make
is going to
sense,
cover
but
both.
go to the very bottom of this email, the very bottom. Just make sure that's in that rule for both of them. Not now, but after.
Sure.
Yeah, if that's how it's meant to be. Yeah.
Okay. Could someone jot that down for me, please? Okay, yeah, reoccurring invoices. So finishing off this feature, finishing off the back end and actually implementing the front end. I've got that as the sprint goal. Are we happy with that, Yuli? Or is there something else you'd like to prioritize?
No, that's my main focus at the moment, yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. And more specifically, all the PBIs that are going to be in the sprint. We had a bug report just recently about incorrect client rates being displayed on the invoice UI. So this is definitely an important one and up there for priorities. The recurring invoice stuff, the Key Vault integration. So we're going to continue on with that, which will enable some of the IAM integration further on in future sprints. We've got a bug on the clients page when you create a new invoice that doesn't have invoicing enabled. It's still got an option that you can create an invoice. So we want to be able to wipe this out and make it all a little bit more consistent with the functionality that we're actually going to be offering that tenant. Hotel logging, Chris is going to continue on with that and implement filters so we can cut down that Azure cost. And then the TimePro tenant experience, which I've got to chase up Jill for. Perfect. Is there any questions regarding that one?
No, all good.
No. Okay, brilliant. Well, when this is uploaded, it will be on the TimePro YouTube channel. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. I'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. See yous next week.
I said
Threw that in there.